everyone. I'm Courtney Richardson, and I'm the creative director at Paper Magazine. I'm also the founder of Do It for the Brand. If you're watching this, you want to launch just like a mogul. But the thing is, you may not know where to start when it comes to marketing, but that's okay. That's why we're here today to help you, give you the tools, tips, and strategies you will need in order to do that. But before we begin, let me tell you all a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm Courtney Richardson, and I'm the creative director at Paper Magazine, as well as the founder of Do It for the Brand. At Paper Magazine, I lead disruptive thinking and innovative ideas, not only for paper, but for different brands across beauty, fashion, entertainment, sports, you name it. I also work with different celebrities as far as sort of giving them sort of the paper lens, which is a very counterculture lens, and making sure that whatever brand partnerships we do with different celebrities is executed flawlessly. I live in New York City. I've been here for over 10 years, but I'm originally from Cali. I'm from the Bay Area. And creative strategy, marketing, PR are definitely my fortes. It's definitely what my career has been for all this time. But essentially, my goal as far as being a creative director and just a creative in general is definitely representation. To me, that's super important. And at the end of the day, my goal as someone who's in this space is to be a voice for the voiceless. And I can do that through different marketing and creative strategies. So I'm really excited to join you all today, and can't wait to share some really cool gems with you all. So what is marketing? So marketing and branding are two very different things, but they often are either said in the same breath or the same sentence, but they're not the same by any means. So marketing basically is the sort of action or the tools and strategies you would use to promote, a product, a service, your company, while a brand is basically your company, your product, your service, the values, right? Like what it represents. So think of it this way, like think of a Big Mac. What would the brand of a Big Mac be? Would be the secret sauce, right? And the marketing of a Big Mac would be, I'm loving it, the tagline, or the commercials or social media ads that you see. So think of marketing as more of an outlet, and branding more of sort of like a voice, if you will. Especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur, like there's potential to make many mistakes, but the important thing to know is that you can learn and grow from them, right? So a few mistakes that I have seen entrepreneurs make, especially new business owners, is not having a website. I know it sounds really trivial, very sort of simple and common sense, but you'd be really surprised at how many people don't have a presence on the web, or they don't have an engaging website, or one that is easy for the user to maneuver or has a great user interface. It basically tells you what the brand, company, product, or service is about. Another mistake I've seen is people not having a social media presence. It's 2020, about to be 2021. So it's really important to even just be on the basic social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, TikTok, if it's appropriate, of course. Other mistakes I've seen is not tracking results. So whether it's weekly or monthly, sort of looking at your return on investment, looking at, your customer funnel, purchases, things like that. Other mistakes, there's so many to choose from, but I would say like not knowing your competitive landscape, I think is probably the number one mistake. Before you even, launch your business, it's really important to research and see the other competitors who are within your space and what they're doing. So what they're doing as far as like marketing, branding, what are their PR strategies, even to like, what is their social media voice? What is their social media presence? Even what are their engagement rates on social media? So even things like that are super important. So ignoring your competitive landscape is a huge mistake, and something you should, it would be remiss if you didn't address. Not knowing your audience is another mistake. So for instance, kind of if your target is everyone, then maybe you need to take a step back and really reassess who your brand is for, and what kind of target you're looking at. Because if you're targeting everyone, the market is super saturated and you're not going to be able to really stand out. So really not knowing your target audience could be a big mistake. And I would say the last one would definitely have to be not setting quarterly goals for yourself. Now that could be personal goals with your business, meaning like even if you're in the ideation stage, like really kind of documenting, step by step, what it is you want to do in order to get to the point of launching or executing your idea, to even more business-centered goals, whether it's different benchmarks you want to hit, different sales numbers you want to hit, but making sure that you're setting goals for yourself is super important. And if you're not doing that, it could be detrimental to sort of the path of growth you can have for your business or for your brand or product. So what is brand marketing? So brand marketing is really about sort of boosting your brand recognition and reputation. So when I say that, it doesn't mean like having billboards throughout Times Square and having, dominating radio, like having a commercial on like the Breakfast Club every 5 minutes, which is great. But it's really, brand marketing is really about connecting with your audience emotionally, right? And telling a story, because you want to have substance when it comes to your brand and when it comes to the brand marketing piece of it. So it's very empty to just kind of saturate, your industry or your lane with your brand, your company, or your product. But really connecting with your audience is super, super important, right? So you want to be relatable. Brand marketing is really specific. So it's really about sort of enticing the five senses of your customers. So let's say you have a culinary brand, like kind of hitting on like taste, smell, like what are those things that kind of bring your brand to life? That's really what brand marketing is about. And, there are many ways to sort of achieve that. The first step is definitely to define your purpose. Again, I've mentioned that a little earlier, but like, what is the purpose? Like, why is this important? Why is this idea important to bring to the masses? What is it you're trying to achieve with this idea or with your current business? Being consistent in your brand marketing is super important. So being consistent in your brand voice, making sure that the consistency stays on a path, stays its course, and you're not, switching the type of sort of brand identity that you're putting out there to the masses. Again, connecting with your customers or your consumers emotionally. So that could be like, if you're a founder or you're a co-founder, a lot of people, when they have a brand or product, they like to be behind the scenes, which is great, but people love to see the face of the person who is behind a company. So they love to see, the story of how you were able to develop and bring this to life. So emotionally connecting with your consumers is really important as far as the brand marketing element is concerned. Being flexible is really key. We live in a world where technology is everywhere. So, Instagram might be popping today. It may not be popping tomorrow. So being flexible and adaptable with the different tools in different ways to sort of frame your brand marketing is going to be key. So being patient, I think, is super important. Another element of brand marketing is definitely sort of, if you have a team, getting them involved as well to make sure that your brand marketing, your brand voice is on key. Sometimes as founders, as solopreneurs, we can sort of have tunnel vision and kind of think, our way or the highway, when in fact, the people to our left, the people to our right may have great perspectives to contribute when it comes to the brand marketing aspects, as far as boosting, your brand's recognition and reputation and connecting with your consumers emotionally. They may actually see something that you missed. If you already have a brand or product or service that's out there, making sure that you reward your consumers, reward your audience. I work at a magazine, for instance, and, it's really important for us to not just write about whatever we want to write about, which is great, right? But we also want to cater to our audience and give them what they need. So whether it means, having Laverne Cox on a cover or having Jaden Smith on a cover, because we know that their fan bases, love paper, again, we're rewarding them in a way. And last but not least, I can't stress this enough. I feel like this is like the buzz phrase of this session, but like knowing your competitors, because the more you know your competitors, the more you're able to really sort of craft your company's brand marketing, and it'll help make it more of yours, and it'll make it more unique and basically for you, you know what I'm saying? So really knowing who's out there, you could develop an idea and think that no one has thought of it. 9 times out of 10, someone has thought about it. They may have tried to file for a patent or tried to trademark something, but maybe it didn't fully, come to life. But knowing your competitors is definitely key when it comes to brand marketing. So brand equity is probably one of my favorite terms when it comes to marketing and creative strategy. So brand equity essentially is what people think of your brand. So their perception of your brand value, for example. So like what comes to mind when they think of your brand, when they come across it, on social media, or they're walking down the street and they see a billboard. So really kind of think about it as like how swaggy is your brand, basically, right? So brand equity, so brands that have like really high, really good brand equity would be, Nike, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Those are, names that we all know. And, when you think of them, you think of a commercial, you think of the logo, you think of the colors, you think of the, the taste, a commercial may come to mind, right? So making sure you have an impression. So brand equity is about impression. Beyonce and Rihanna have amazing brand equities. Not only are they fabulous entertainers, but they're women of color who are strong, who represent diversity, but also, you see diversity across their teams, but then also they're really charitable. So brand equity is all about impression, and what people think of your brand, the first thing that comes to mind. So the reason this is important when you're developing like your strategy and, you want to be consistent is because the bottom line is your consumer. So whatever impression they have of your brand, they're going to take action. So for instance, like if you have a brand, like the number one form of marketing is word of mouth. So if someone has had a positive experience with a product, let's say that you've launched or invented, and they share with their girlfriends or their homies, like, that person is more likely to visit or make a purchase, right? Because of a recommendation from their friend. The reason why their friend enjoyed your product, right, is because you had good brand equity. So brand equity is essentially the core of marketing, right? So just like you as a person, you want to be well liked by your colleagues, by your friends, by your family. You want to make sure that your brand, your product, your service is well liked by your target audience. What is a marketing plan? A marketing plan, there really is no sort of cut and dry way of going about it, but there are some key things that you want to make sure that you address when developing your marketing plan. So what is a marketing plan? Essentially, a marketing plan is a blueprint. It's a roadmap as to how you are going to get your brand out there to the world, promotion, different goals that you're going to set, different benchmarks that you want to achieve. And a marketing plan is really important to have because it's sort of your Bible in a sense. It's sort of your go-to guide. So for instance, like if you're pitching to investors or to partners to be a part of your company or brand, the first thing you're going to want to show them is your marketing plan, right? So the first thing when it comes to a marketing plan is, again, determine your mission. What is your brand statement? If you need to come up with a statement, a mantra, just 1 or 2 sentences that kind of encapsulate overall who your brand is, what it's about, and you want to make sure you just get to the point with that. You also, secondly, want to determine your KPIs. So KPIs are key performance indicators. So for you, that's what you're going to determine, like as far as benchmarks are concerned. So KPIs could consist of anything from like brand awareness. So for instance, like impressions across social media, maybe that's really important for your brand. Let's say you're an influencer. Impressions are going to be key, right, for you to include in your press kit when you're going out to other brands to work with them. Or, another KPI could be like conversion rate. So from, someone making a purchase on your website. So seeing an ad, for instance, going to your website and putting it in their shopping cart and buying it, that could be conversion is another KPI. So KPIs are essentially important for a marketing plan, but it's going to be unique to you, and you're going to need to decide what those KPIs are. There's no set number of KPIs for you to include in your marketing plan. It could be, 3 KPIs you have to 10, but you want to be succinct and you want to be to the point. So again, you want to include what your mission is, and then you want to determine what the KPIs of your brand's mission is. Then you also want to identify your customer profiles or personas, right? So who are the people that you are targeting? So that could be anywhere from, let's say you are a streetwear brand, right? Based in New York, and you're targeting men. Like, what do those people look like? What are their names? What are they into? You know what I'm saying? So again, including your mission, determining your KPIs, including your customer profiles, like who you're targeting. That's really essential, really key to a really good marketing plan. A few other things you want to consider is definitely sort of describing your initiatives and strategies. So depending on if you have a team or if you're a solopreneur, your marketing plan could be, a 6-month marketing plan, or it could be a full year marketing plan. But what are the different initiatives and strategies that you want to attain and achieve over that year? You want to make sure that you include that in your marketing plan. Again, not only for potential investors and partners to see, but also for you to hold yourself accountable as well, because again, your marketing plan is your Bible. A few other things you may want to include is, again, the $1 million thing is defining your marketing budget. You could have $100 marketing budget, or you can have $100,000 marketing budget, but making sure that you're breaking it out and including all of the line items for different things within your marketing plan is super important, and making sure you're accounting for every dollar. So that could be, making sure press is accounted for, graphic design, social media. If you have a team and you pay your team, that's going to need to be included in your marketing budget as well. Again, can anyone guess the catchphrase of the night? Identifying your competition. So you're going to want to make sure you put that in your marketing plan, and that could be updated over time, because again, one day there's 3 companies out there, you wake up the next day and there's 6 more. So you're going to want to make sure that you're staying on top of that, right? And updating your competitor set, your competitor list within your marketing plan. And then last but not least, you want to sort of outline your plan's contributors and team members. So if it's just you, then you would list yourself. But if you do have a team, a co-founder, a CMO, a CRO, a COO, you want to make sure that you include your entire team, everyone who has been a part of your idea and your brand, product, or service. You want to account for them in your marketing plan. That's really important. So marketing research is definitely something you should have been doing yesterday, not today, but if you haven't done it yet, it's okay. That's why you're here, right? So marketing research is essentially different key insights, metrics, and data that'll help you frame your brand's narrative. So again, like I had mentioned earlier, you're looking at your competitor landscape. That's a form of market research, like looking to see what else is out there, who those other brands are targeting, but it's essentially also important to look at who you are, right? Who your brand is, what your idea is, what your products, what your service is. So marketing research is super important. So that could be anything from, there are many layers to it. So defining your target demographic, right? To their age, to their gender, to their race, to their ethnicity, to their political affiliation, even down to more, I guess, qualitative metrics, which would include more like buyer behaviors, psychological behavior, and things like that. So doing market research is so important. And, you could have already launched your business. You could be 10 years in. you're never gonna stop doing market research. Like that is something that you should be putting on your to-do list on a weekly basis, even if it means just sort of scouring the internet, you know what I'm saying, or skimming the internet to see who else is out there. I also advise people to sign up for different marketing websites and publications. So even Adweek, you know, Ad Age, those are publications and companies that cover different brands that are out there and kind of what they're doing from a marketing and advertising standpoint. Is super important. Even signing up for Google Analytics, like that is a great tool to kind of dive into not only your own brand, especially if you have a web presence, but also looking at, you know, what else is out there. Google Keywords is also another great tool. It really kind of allows you to kind of see from a world view what is being talked about, what the trends are, what the hot topics are, so that you can kind of, you know, keep your finger on the pulse. And then, of course, social media is a great tool to kind of dive in and see what other brands are doing, seeing how they're marketing their brands. And then also, you know, if you have a presence on social media, especially Instagram, making sure that your business account is activated, and really kind of taking a look and utilizing the insights tool on there can really help you refine your brand and who your target market is. So there are a few simple, basic things that you can use to sort of target your customers and or visitors really, and convert them into loyal customers. So the first thing is, you know, an email list. And I know everyone is, you know, tired of spam and tired of having their inboxes flooded, but at the same time, digital marketing and email marketing actually has gone up since a lot of people have been home and working from home. So a lot more people are checking their email more consistently and more frequently. So making sure that you have an email list pop up, like an email pop up, is important, but also having like, what is the call to action? Like, what is the takeaway for your customer or site visitor when they sign up? You know, is it a discount? Is it, you know, a free tool? Is it a lookbook that they can download if you have a fashion brand, for instance? Like, you want to make sure that the conversation between you and your consumer isn't linear, that is transactional, right? So an email pop-up is super important. Give back programs are also important. So for instance, you know, if you have a product, maybe 10% or a small percentage can go back to the community, could go back to an organization. You know, we're living in a time, right, where people are becoming more aware. A lot of us have been aware. We've been, you know what I'm saying, woke, if you will. We've known the deal, but a lot of people haven't. So that's opportunity, right, to allow people to sort of feel like they're contributing to the world, whether it's, you know, a climate change initiative, whether it's a social injustice or racial injustice. So giving back is super important. So if you're selling a product, making sure that, you know, you're allowing your consumer to feel like they're contributing or giving something, that will definitely convert them from being a website visitor to a loyal customer, especially if they feel like they're contributing to either your brand story or contributing to the world overall. So those are just a couple of examples. So what are the secrets to growth hacking? That is probably like the number one question people want to know an answer to. And the thing is, there's really no one straight answer. Just because, for instance, like 6% of people say that they follow an influencer because of the products that they feature on their social media. So 6% is not a lot at all. And typically the influencer has to have over 100,000 followers. But my thing is, I feel like influencer programs are still a great growth hack for getting your customer reach up. It's really just about how you do it. So you want to stand out from the flat tummy teas of the world. No offense to anyone who wants to start that kind of business, but it's super saturated. And it's a little typical. So how can you be atypical when developing sort of a seeding program with influencers? Are they utilizing TikTok in a really cool way to market your products? You'd be surprised at the number of talent who are out there who are willing to work with a brand, to work with a product, to work with a service, just for the exposure, just for them to build their press kit, to build their portfolio. And they have thousands of followers on social media. So it's really about sort of networking with people. So that's a great growth hack as far as reach and increasing your brand awareness through influencers and talent. If you have a marketing budget, you know, and you can't afford to pay talent who are maybe a bit well known, that's another growth hack. Really also, I think it's really important, again, connecting with your consumers emotionally. Like, I know it's a lot, but making sure that you are responsive to your customers, not just, you know, ending the conversation or ending the relationship once they've purchased a product from you. So like checking in with them, you know, maybe it's a 1 week, 3 week, 5 week check-in. How was your experience with the brand? Do you have any questions that I can answer? So it makes the customer feel like they have someone who's on this sort of journey with them. So even answering comments, you know, engaging with your customers, with your audience on social media has such a huge impact. And I know for some people it may be time consuming or may not matter, but you'd be surprised at the power that has. So those are just a few ideas as far as growth hacking is concerned, but there's so many, and there's so many out there that you can actually look up and see if they fit your business and how to apply them.